So speaking of some of these earlier things that happened, so what was it? What were some of your earlier struggles? What were some of your rock bottom moments where you were able to catalyze?
Well, it was about a 15-year path of destruction to discovery of finally understanding. I had I lacked a sense of belonging. I had a massive fear of abandonment from my father leaving as a young child, which put into spiral lots of destructive behavior. I grew up in the province in Ontario, just outside the capital of Canada in Ottawa. Beautiful, beautiful area. All my family's still there. And I, at a young age, got into using forms of escapism, not just through use of marijuana and drinking, but I ended up becoming a thief, sneaking out at night, and got to a point as a young teenager, 15, 14 years old, I was stealing cars and really racking up a lot of trouble. And it was amplifying to quite a fast extent, and not a nice degree to be working at for what you're looking. So I ended up finally getting caught in trouble with the law, and I had a lucky break as, what was I, 17 years old. I was faced looking at possibly being charged as an adult because I was so close to that switch over to being 18. And they were going to make an example of me, most definitely, in this detective. And I'm writing a book on this right now where I open up into all the details. I won't bore you with too many, but this detective was retiring that week, and he just had a good feeling about me. When I look back at him, I almost think he's a messenger from God. And he said, he's like, here's your dad is, he took me out for lunch and asked me if we could recover a bunch of stuff. I showed him where I had ditched vehicles and whatnot. And I hadn't talked to my dad for about a year and a half since he moved to Winnipeg. He moved to a different province, leaving all those kids for his wife. My dad's a great man. He had his reasons for that, but it's something it hurt, right?
Of course, yeah.
The detective said, your dad's here. You haven't talked to him for a year and a half. He's got a plane ticket for you to move to Winnipeg tomorrow. Everything's off. You're free. Or you want to stay here and look at your charges. You're facing, 5 to 10 years. And so within 24 hours, I had packed up, left everybody, and was into another city. And that didn't solve the problem. I was still rebelled, and lots going on. I was still getting into trouble. Ended up finding myself behind bars here for a short period of time. And that was really the wake-up call when I had done that. And I looked around and saw where my life was going and knew the break that I had gotten before.
So that was more your rock bottom when you actually got arrested.
Yeah, that was one of the rock bottoms when I actually got arrested. And then from there, I started my landscape construction company. Well, I started working for a landscaping company. And within 2 months, I had just picked up on the skills very well. He had me leading the whole crew. I was like, well, why don't I just do this on my own? So I started a construction company, literally on my bicycle, with $500 to my name. I put a hitch on my girlfriend's car. She let me buy a little cheap trailer and drive her to work and do these jobs in between and pick her up. And I built that into being one of the award-winning top companies in Manitoba for 2 years as best landscape contractor. I ran that for over a decade, and had a great passion building beautiful things for people and seeing the effect that happened when I surprised them with little things and whatnot. But after 12 years, I ran myself in the ground. I wasn't the best at building culture and developing employees to stay, so I was still a one-man show after quite some time, and having an award-winning company and still having to do everything, I ended up becoming a huge asshole. I wasn't a nice person. I developed some big anger issues, and that was in the midst. I decided, okay, I'm going to put this off to the side. Took a position with the railroad, working in the middle of nowhere, so I could just be with myself and my thoughts. And I did that for 2 years. In the midst of it, though, I lost my entrepreneurial fire, discovering that I truly am an entrepreneur. That's where it's at for me. I think some people that is who they are. I discovered that. And that was at the same time I lost my license. So I couldn't go and drive out 12 hours away for this position anymore. Started space, and here we are. as I said, everything progressed. So in the midst of that, though, running that company,
That's a cool story.
I was there was times where I was living in my car for one winter. I had no money. I was going to bed for dinner, eating tuna if I was lucky to get it. My pride was too big to go get food stamps and welfare. Ego was a big problem. There's a lot that got me to the road I am at today, and that pain and suffering that I've felt and dealt with, I think it helps me really connect with a lot of people that are going through whether similar things or other things that can be relatable. So having that those rock bottoms made a big difference.